Hello, plant friends. My name is Victoria and you're watching Plantastics. Today we're going to be talking about grow lights specifically for medium to highlight plants. So this can be medium like your philodendrons, your alocasias, your thimatophyllums, the list could go on. Or, highlight plants like cacti, lithops, and so on and so forth. Or, lemon trees, basically things that would be getting direct sun if they were outside. Or medium as in it gets some direct sun throughout the day. So the bulb that I'm going to be talking about is by GE and the light bar is by Barrina. So I'm going to talk about the bulb first. So the bulb is by GE and it's a par 38. It's the largest light bulb that they carry and it's the strongest one that they carry. So if you look behind me, you're going to be able to see that this light bulb looks a little weird. It's got vented sides that almost look like gills. And that is simply to disperse the heat. In previous grow light bulbs, not GE specifically, but just the research in general, these light bulbs used to have fans, but the risk of failure was really high. So instead of doing that, you'll notice that GE and several other grow light brands have these vented sides, and that is just to increase the surface area and allow the heat to disperse more quickly. And it's pretty much fail-proof because there's not any fan that can burn out. So other than the appearance being very different than what you're used to seeing with a light bulb, you're also going to notice that it's made out of metal. So this light needs to be held up with either a reptile clamp, or you can use pendant lights, or you can use light fixtures like a standing light or something like that. You need something that's going to be sturdy enough to support this. It's just a little bit heavier than maybe some other light bulbs that you may be used to seeing. So these lights do produce somewhat of a pinkish hue, and you're going to notice that most lights that are kind of more affordable are going to produce somewhat of a pink hue. Honestly, it doesn't bother me, so I don't mind it, but it's just something to note. So with the larger bulbs, they're a lot more powerful. So you want to have a large distance, anywhere between 2 and 5 feet, depending on what varieties of plants that you have underneath. I'm going to show you some images of my display plant corners that I have. So in my living room, I have a mirror in the very center, and that just ties everything together. And then on the sides, I have a mixture of medium and low light plants. So I have a prayer plant, I have a lemon and lime maranta, I have a red maranta, I have my ZZ plant, and everybody that you can see is putting out tons of new growth. I've recently fertilized, and if you're curious about which fertilizers I recommend, I'll attach that video here. But pretty much the observation you can make is that this light is a great distance for the plants to have growth and also to still have somewhat of an aesthetic. So with this bulb, since it is so much larger, you're going to need a dome that comes down a lot further. I personally really struggled to find domes that were large enough or lampshades that were large enough to cover it, because the bulb is like literally longer than most bulbs are, like just practical ones, not just other grow bulbs. But I found one, and I actually found it at Home Depot. I think it was anywhere from like $20 to $30, and it perfectly fits over it. Now, I do have some other pendant lights that cover it fairly well, but not as great as the one that I have in my living room. So the next light that I'm going to discuss is the Barrina 144 watt. So these were honestly investment bulbs. They were kind of a little bit more expensive. And if you were to look at these compared to the other Barrina lights that I've talked about, they are very different. First of all, they have got metal casings instead of plastic, and they're also much heavier. I personally do not recommend attaching these with command strips. I use the zip ties and I have them connected to wire shelving units. And I have it that way because these lights are just a little bit warmer and they need the ability to cool off. So that's a personal preference for mine and also a safety concern. So I personally would recommend using zip ties or some other way. You basically just don't want that light to be perfectly against a flat surface like wood or anything like that. So you want there to be a chance for that heat to disperse. So these lights are a lot more pink than the Barrina GE bulbs are, and that's just something to note. So my propagation room in the spring and summer is used basically for propagations, but as we go into winter, I bring all of my other plants in from my back patio, and that's where they go pretty much throughout the winter. So I have all kinds of plants. I have succulents, philodendrons, cacti, you name it, and they all really love this light. I don't have issues with etolation. I don't have issues with burning. It's just a really great light. It's very versatile, and I can even put my African violets under there, and it's really nice. Now, there are some of my violets that will burn under this light. So like some varieties like Midnight Waterfall and so on. So I wouldn't recommend it for all of them, but if you have some etolation with some lights like these, you may want to put them under there. But overall, it's really great for like my Billy Auntie. I had to put there for a while because I had some like renovations and stuff in this office. And in the time that I had it there, it put out the largest leaf that I have ever seen it put out. And honestly, I attribute that to those grow lights. Like, they're perfectly strong. If you really want really strong growth, it's really perfect. And then I also use it as like a rehab room. So I will take plants that aren't looking great. I'll give them a repot, or if it's something that doesn't need to be repotted, I'll fertilize it and I'll put it in there, and the plants will like triple in size. So the Barrina lights don't really get a classification as to whether they're growing new leaves or growing flowers. But I've had tons of success with getting plants to flower under those lights, which I just think is a really great sign that the plants are getting all the energy that they need from those bulbs. So which varieties would it go best with for both of these? Honestly, the greatest glow up that I've had is my Alocasia caprea Red Secret, which I have here. It is a monster. Okay, we've got two inflorescence. If you know how to tell if they're fertilized, please comment. I need to know. So this is the largest leaf, and it is larger than the size of my face. Okay, it is literally huge. And then I have some anthuriums as well. So this has been under the GE Par 38, and as you can see, it is a bloom bulb. So the GE bulbs you can get in either flowering or like green leaf producing, and I got the flowering one. So I've got some really interesting just inflows here. So I've got one that's right here that just got put out, and then I also have this one. So this was a very tiny tiny little thing when I got it, and I honestly didn't know if it was going to live. All my alocasias got a seriously bad state because I got spider mites on everything on my back porch. Nothing inside was affected, and as soon as I was able to bring everybody inside, I was able to fix the issue, but that's a story for another day. Basically, this plant literally got to where it was literally just the root ball and the corm, and I babied all of my alocasias back to life because basically every single one of them died. And now look at it. It's doing great. It's fertilized at half strength every time, and it's under that Par 38, and baby, it is love and life. Okay, look at it. I have another example that I'm going to show you. So I just feel like, some things speak for themselves. So this was the second newest leaf. So if you look at it, it's not really that big. So I had this with the Barrina 144 watt. Look how gigantic that leaf is. Like, honestly, this is a baby. I've had it since it was a seedling, but like, come on. That's pretty nice growth. And I also have some of my orchids that are reblooming. So I highly recommend these. But like I said, grow lights are a tool in your arsenal, and they're not going to fix everything. So plants need an array of different things to survive and do well, and grow lights are just one of those things. You also need the right soil or substrate for your plant. You need to be fertilizing, especially right now because it's spring and summer, and you also need to have the amount of time and ventilation. You need to have all that stuff right. And you know what? It's not something that you learn overnight. So hopefully you're able to learn which grow lights may be better fit for your needs based off of this video. I also have another video on low to medium light plants, which is different grow lights than in this video. So if you have African violets or peperomias or some types of terrariums or terrarium plants, you may be interested in watching that video as well. See you later. Bye.